You know, I was listening to Priscilla Shirer, and she was talking about the difference between asking questions and questioning God, right? And to me, that really meant that, you know, when you're asking questions of God, you're basically trying to understand why you went through a situation so that you can draw some lessons that you can use moving forward, right? Because I'm a big believer that, you know, every situation makes sense once we start taking out lessons from them, right? But it's something completely different when you start questioning the character of God, God's ability to see you through a situation, God's ability to take you out of a situation, or God's ability to protect you, God's ability to provide for you, right? So that's questioning the abilities of God. That's questioning God's character. But when you ask God, why did I have to go through this? What is the lesson that I'm supposed to take out of this? Am I missing something? Then that's completely different, because you're trying to dig deeper. You're trying to understand yourself more, right? So today I want to talk to you about dig deeper. I am Pulaa Montz, your inner voice magnified. You know, I've been going through this personal development journey for about 2 or just over 2 years now, and you know, it has been such a journey of discovery for me. And recently I'm learning to dig deeper, because I've realized that there's so much peace in really getting to the root of everything that I do, right? Because I get to understand myself better. And you know, when you know yourself better, you're able to explain yourself to people. You're able to make people understand why you do some of the things that you do the way you do them, right? So because, you know, we are on this earth, obviously we're all different, and people will time and again try and question why you do things, and sometimes we end up dropping what we're doing and the way we do it, because we also don't know why we do it. But later on, when you find out, then you regret your decision for dropping the way you used to do things, because now you're starting to understand yourself better. So the crux of every journey is getting to know yourself first, whether it is career, whether it is a relationship, whatever it is, any journey that you're trying to get into, the most important person that you need to know in the journey is yourself, because then you'll understand why you view life in the way you view it, right? So I've discovered that so many things that I used to do with no reason, but it bothered people, and at some point it started to bother me as well about myself. I just thought those were the things that I do. Those were my idiosyncrasies, right? We all have those, and we just flippantly accept them as idiosyncrasies without really digging deeper into it and trying to understand why am I specifically experiencing this thing that I'm experiencing. You know, when I was still at home, I used to have I had a period where I was really jumpy. I mean, I would get so scared at a sudden noise, and you know, not like normal. I mean, anything, even a teaspoon that fell down would really shake me. And it used to bother my parents so much. It used to bother me so much, because I just couldn't understand why I was jumpy. I mean, I would be washing the dishes by the sink, and you know, in order to get into a kitchen, you have to come behind me from outside, right? So my mom would have to sing out loud from the gate. You know, after school I'd be there washing the dishes, and she comes in, she would have to literally sing or scream my name from the gate so that I'm not startled in case I'm washing the dishes, right? She'll think, okay, what if she's in the kitchen by the sink? She will get so scared. So she'll just make some noise. And generally, that's what they'll do. If I'm in a room, they'll try and make some noise, you know, a gentle noise to alert me that somebody's coming into the room. And that used to bother me a lot, because I just didn't understand why I was so jumpy. And I forgot about that. I just remembered it recently as I was digging deeper, right? But then I realized that, you know, when I was growing up, at some point of my life, I moved from my home to my aunt's place. And there we used to have friends, and those kids at some point they were staying across the road from my aunt's place. So at some point I went back home for the school holidays, and as I was there, we were watching the news, and I saw these two kids and their parents on the news, and it was said that they were killed by the older brother. He actually used an axe to slaughter everyone in the house, and they were all dead. Family of 4. The brother axed them to death. I mean, that shook me. I was still in primary. I was so scared. I was crying. And I had to go back when the schools reopened, and to find that indeed Manzo and Vusi were gone and their parents were gone. I mean, that used to traumatize us so much, me and my cousins. And we literally had to pass through the gate, by their gate, because they were really opposite our house. And we would run, me and my younger cousin Lebo, we would run as we were getting out the gate because we were so scared. For weeks we did that, right? And only recently did I realize that, me being overly jumpy, I never used to be like that before. But after that incident, that's when I started becoming overly jumpy. That's when I started becoming really scared of even going out, right? I would be scared of being alone in a room where I couldn't see people, right? So there are so many things that we go through, and we flippantly push them under the carpet. We think we are over them, right? I mean, at that time, I was around 10, 11 in primary school. I didn't realize that that moment, that season of my life left so much impact. And only now am I starting to deal with those issues that I went through back then, right? So it is so important to dig deeper into who you are, because then you start understanding that these are not just idiosyncrasies. These are not just you behaving badly or you trying to draw attention to yourself. There is a root to every little thing that you do. There is a root to every little thing that I do. I mean, if you are a hugger, you love hugs, it is because probably that's how you related at home, right? Your mom or your dad is just a lover of hugs, right? Or sometimes you didn't have that, but you told yourself, when I have my own family, I'm going to hug my kids because that's what I yearn for. So there is a root for you becoming the person that you are. So it is important for us to start digging deeper in order to find peace in who we are, and real peace. That issue, Yabo Manzo and Vusi, I never ever in my life thought that would affect me. I mean, when I'm talking about washing the dishes, I'm talking now way years after that incident in high school. I mean, throughout my high school, that's how I was. I went to tertiary, I was still like that. I think after tertiary, it subsided a bit because I started forgetting about that memory, and only recently it came back to me now. But then there was a link, God made that link between that incident that happened to our friends with my sudden change in character, being all jumpy and guarded, right? So it is important to dig deeper, because again, I've realized that, when you dig deeper, your relationships grow, because when you understand yourself, you are able to easily explain to people who you are so that they understand you better. You are able to share your fears without, feeling like you will be judged, because you already understand why you are the person that you are. I found out recently that, the more I dig deeper into who I am and I start finding connections throughout my life, then I start accepting the person that I am. Either if it's something that I just need to accept as me, then I accept it. Then it's easier for me not to be guarded about it. When people, mention it. It's okay for me now because I know that's the person that I am. Or sometimes if I get those connections, then I'm able to work on it, to work through the pain, work through the trauma, because now I know exactly what I'm dealing with. So relationships grow because you are able to be vulnerable. You're able to share your fears and insecurities without feeling like you're being judged, right? And the one thing that I saw that digging deeper gives you is that you are able to communicate better. Because when you know yourself, it is clear. You are able to give yourself to people with so much clarity. And like when people start questioning you and you don't even know yourself, you are unable to communicate yourself to people. You are unable at times to sell yourself. You know, when you get into an interview and they start saying, tell us your greatest qualities, right? You are able to share them. And when they say to you, share with us some of your weaknesses, you are able to really share a weakness, but at the same time show how you work around that weakness, right? Because you're now starting to dig deeper into who you are. So you no longer just accept things as idiosyncrasies. When you dig deeper, you start understanding that every idiosyncrasy, it's because of some experience that happened in your life. Nothing that is you right now is as a result of nothing. Everything that you are, all the qualities that you recognize about yourself, good or bad, they have a root in what you have experienced in this life. And the more you dig deeper, the more you start understanding the root of who you are. And hey, I mean, when you can know yourself, when you can understand yourself to that level where you no longer just sweep things under the carpet and say, you know what, yes, it was painful back then, but I'm over it now. But you know you haven't done any work to make sure that you're over it. Then you know at that point that you're sweeping it under the carpet, and it will show up in a way in your life. It will manifest itself in some way. You know, I've always talked about, you know, stashing versus dealing, right? When you stash things, when you hide things somewhere in your soul is not a hiding place. It will manifest all these things that you think you're sweeping under the carpet in different ways in your life. But when you start dealing with issues one by one, you start experiencing a level of peace like you've never experienced before. So hey, go ahead, dig deep. Don't be shy and don't be scared. It is a tough process, but it is a worthy process to take. Ask questions, ask why, so that you start understanding yourself better and experience inner peace. I am Pulaa Montz, your inner peace and purpose coach.